What's going on, guys? This is Whale Martin with Bodybuilding.News bringing you another weekly wrap-up of this weekend's competitions. This one was an IFBB professional event, Men's Open N212, held in Chicago, Illinois. At the Chicago Pro, in first place was Dallas McCarver. Dallas, in his second season competing, one of the youngest competitors on stage, one of the youngest return professional, is making a great name for himself as he continues to rise up the ranks of the IFBB. And while he wasn't 100% at this show, it was certainly more than enough to win. And from the moment he stepped on stage, it was obvious it was Dallas and then the rest of the pack. With stellar conditioning, Dallas was around 90% of what he can be, and that's not a bad thing whatsoever as we're leading into the Olympia where he's now qualified and could be a serious threat given the indications from this contest. If there's one knock on Dallas, it's just his presentation on the lat shots. It's just an issue of how he flexes the muscles, and it maybe isn't as optimal as possible. However, it's not a lack of mass that is Dallas's issue. And on such a tall frame, it's even more impressive that he's able to hold so much size. Winning this contest elevates Dallas into the status of a Arnold-type caliber competitor, and even the Olympia potentially. However, he's definitely up out of these Tier 3, Tier 4 type shows, and is on to another level of contention for Olympia even eventually down the road. While I do think Dallas is on Phil Heath's radar for the Olympia, I don't think Phil's lost any sleep over this. And Dallas should be a serious contender, though, for possibly the top 6, top 5. And after breaking outside of the top 10 barely last year, that would be a very positive indication for the rest of his career, as he's becoming one of the upper-tier professionals rapidly. In second place was Michael Lockett. Michael Lockett looked like Michael Lockett always looks. Fantastic, ripped, shredded. This show, he was more on point than ever before. Though Michael wasn't a serious threat against the caliber of guys such as Dallas, he pretty handily was able to break into the top 5, and he will always be in contention at this type of show, as he's shown time and time again that he's able to bring this package, which is more than enough to break into the top 5. And while he was more than usually on for this contest, it's just typical Michael, and that's all there is to say about it. He continues to improve, and he's got some obvious misbalances in physique, but he's also has some very freaky muscle and maturity that no other competitor really has at this point. So it's a very interesting, unique look, and I respect him a lot as an athlete. Great showing for him here in Chicago. Third place was Currie, who could have very arguably came in second and knocked out Lockett. Currie brought his signature aesthetic that's pretty unique at this level for the IFBB, and his flow and symmetry, fullness, but also a type of conditioning that displayed his physique that is rare for Currie to get this on point with. Though we've seen him like this before, not in recent times. And so this was another positive indicator for Currie, as it means he's back in contention at this year's show. After his win in the Arnold, Brazil, he's not fallen off per se, but we weren't hearing his name in contention for these types of contests. So it's a good thing Brendan was able to show up like this and very easily could have finished a spot higher. What he lacks in overall mass compared to a guy like Dallas, it's almost compensated for, but not entirely with the flow of his physique, which is very unique to this level of competition. He has a very narrow waist, which makes his freakish shoulders and everything pop more, at the quads as well. And though he gets exposed next to the other guys by himself, he looks awesome. In fourth place, this was a gift of sorts, but deserved placing nonetheless, though I would have maybe had him one spot lower in the 5th place spot. Johnie Jackson. Johnie is a veteran competitor and a tried and true IFBB pro who's won events as recently as last year and continues to show up looking fantastic. However, time is definitely catching up with Johnie, and so his signature lack of legs is starting to really show. And because he's needing to more condition to compete with these guys, he has to sacrifice some of the mass in his legs, which stands out more in the eyes of the judges and fans of the sport. Johnie is a true company man and a great representative for bodybuilding, and so it's no surprise that he would finish here over the 5th place finisher, as he's a little bit more well-known and popular, and it was very close and in contention nonetheless. In 5th place, Sasan Heirati. Sasan, a relatively unknown competitor in the IFBB ranks at this point, looked fantastic and easily could have finished and knocked out Johnie out of that 4th place spot. I think politics had a little bit to do with it, but nonetheless it was a great indicator for Sasan, as it was for many of these people at this contest. Sasan brought an awesome level of conditioning and density, and well, he doesn't have a lot of pop yet in the muscle. He really has a ripped aesthetic physique. So I'm eager to see what type of developments he can make going into the future. I don't see him being a contender, I say, in Arnold yet per se, However, at these tier of shows, he could easily come in and shock some people. Honorable mention for this contest has to be Akeem Williams. Though Akeem was not in the condition he needed to be to best present his physique, he definitely was one of the few guys to have the mass to be a serious contender against a guy like Dallas, and didn't look outsized entirely. However, when you don't have the glutes and you don't have the condition, it's hard to judge you evenly, and it puts you automatically at a little bit lower level than the guys that do bring it in shape. So Akeem, again, I say this about all these competitors today, very positive indication for him. However, if he's not able to bring the condition, what's it for? This could be a positive because it's very hard to add the mass and you can't buy his structure for his body. So Akeem has a very bright future again in the IFBB, and this placing doesn't necessarily indicate anything too negative, except for he needs to get his diet in check, which I believe he has the ability to do so. Akeem is one of the guys where even though he didn't place here, he could definitely be a contender at one of the weird Arnold contests, the off-the-map Arnold contests internationally. And though I don't see him maybe necessarily being a contender at the Arnold in Columbus per se, I could see him pretty quickly, maybe sometime next year or the year after, being contention in one of the other tier Arnolds. That's everything from me, guys. This is Waylon Martin with Bodybuilding.News. This is our wrap-up of Chicago Pro, but if you'd like more wrap-ups, you can be sure to check out our YouTube page and Bodybuilding.News. Check us out on my Facebook, all that good stuff. This is Waylon Martin with Bodybuilding.News.